We're here at Computex 2026 and today we're at Asus's special ROG exhibition. They don't have all of their products here for Computex, but they are unveiling two of their flagship OLED monitors today. We're going to go and check them out in a minute, but there's a 24.5-inch sized WOLED 1080p 540Hz. It's the first esports and competitive gaming monitor with an OLED panel in that size. They've also got a brand new 32-inch 4K Tandem WOLED screen with an RGB-stripe subpixel layout. So let's go and check both of those models out right now. This is the world's first 24.5-inch sized OLED monitor. It's the Asus ROG Strix XG259QWPG Ace. That's a bit of a mouthful, obviously, but this is their brand new monitor for 2026. It's a 24.5-inch size screen built around an LG Display Tandem WOLED panel. It's got a 1080p resolution and 540Hz refresh rate, so it's been custom designed for esports and competitive gamers as an alternative to LCD monitors. Obviously, that market is pretty much dominated by fast, high refresh rate TN film panels. Now you've got an alternative from an OLED panel finally. The screen's got a few other really interesting specs of note. It's one of the first that we've seen to be announced so far with a VESA Display HDR True Black 600 tier certification. So that means increased brightness for HDR and SDR compared with previous WOLED monitors. We've been told it's got a peak brightness of 1700 nits. In fact, that's a new high for WOLED, and a full screen brightness of 390 nits. That will also translate into SDR brightness, 390 nits there. So you've got a really bright screen for all kinds of applications. One of the key benefits here is the OLED panel technology, so you no longer need to put up with the limited capabilities of an LCD panel, particularly a TN film panel, with weak viewing angles, weak colors, and poor image quality. You've got a screen here that is capable of much better picture quality thanks to its OLED panel. So yes, it's aimed at esports and competitive gamers, but it's also very capable of handling HDR gaming, HDR content, movies, videos, and everything else that you might want. You can probably see from the video here that it's got a true black glossy screen coating like Asus's other recent OLED monitors, so it gives a really sharp and clear image. It does have a traditional RGB subpixel layout, so it's not an RGB stripe layout, but that allows for the super high brightness and the True Black 600 certification that we just talked about. It's got all of Asus's other familiar features like their Neo proximity sensor, which has now been updated to include some new controls for away timer and sensitivity, so that's nice to see. It's got their OLED Care Pro feature set, and it's got a new shortcut menu designed for esports and competitive gamers, so you can quickly access some of the key settings that you might want to access, like preset mode, shadow boost, and that kind of thing. So that's a handy feature as well. It's also got various markings on the stand which allow you to customize your viewing angle, height, position, and get that consistent for each of your gaming sessions. So that should be handy for gamers. They've got it set up here side by side with their latest 610Hz TN film panel, and you can see just how good the picture quality looks compared with a TN LCD. So there you go, really interesting spec, 24.5-inch size WOLED panel, 1080p resolution, 540Hz refresh rate, and True Black 600 certification. This one looks great. We're told it should be released at some point in Q4. No information on pricing at this stage, but we'll provide more information, of course, when we get it. This is Asus's other flagship model that's being announced today, is the ROG Swift PG32UCWM. It's a 32-inch 4K resolution Tandem WOLED screen, and this one has got an RGB stripe subpixel layout. Now, Asus have two versions of this 32-inch 4K Tandem WOLED screen that's being launched. The ROG Swift model here is the RGB stripe version, and they've also got a standard Tandem WOLED with RGWB layout. That's not actually on show at this exhibition, but we'll check that out later in the week from the main Computex exhibition and bring you more information on that then. But the key thing about this ROG Swift model is that shift to an RGB subpixel layout, which improves text clarity and sharpness and reduces fringing. This one's got a 4K native resolution and 240Hz refresh rate, and a familiar dual mode function that allows you to go up to 480Hz at 1080p for more competitive gaming situations if you want. Asus tell us that in terms of brightness capabilities, it will be a little bit less bright than the RGWB model because of the removal of the white subpixel. That's to be expected, but it achieves True Black 400 certification, and it's got a peak brightness of 1000 nits in HDR, 250 nits full screen, 250 nits for SDR. It also supports HDR10 and Dolby Vision HDR formats, so a good range of HDR capabilities, even though it's got a slightly lower brightness than the RGB models. So if you want a brighter experience, maybe for brighter HDR gaming and multimedia, then maybe the RGB model that we'll talk about later in the week, maybe that might be a little bit more suitable. But this model is more aimed at people who are sensitive to fringing and text clarity problems, and maybe want to use the screen also for professional applications, design work, spreadsheets, office work, that kind of thing, where the sharpness will really be a big benefit. The other thing Asus are promoting here is an update to their power supply, which is now a GaN power solution, which reduces heat output, and that in turn helps ensure that the OLED panel doesn't get hot, and that can reduce image retention risks and burn-in problems. So they tell us that they're going to be shifting to that improved power supply across all of their future OLED monitors. It's being used here in the 32-inch RGB-stripe model, and it will also feature in their 27-inch 4K RGB-stripe model. Now, before you ask, the 27-inch 4K model isn't here at this exhibition, but it should be there later in the week at their main Computex booth, so we'll check that out then. Asus tell us that this model should be released around Q3 time, still to be confirmed, pricing to be confirmed as well, but LG Display have said that the panel has now gone into mass production, and so it should be a few months away. Our guess is around October time at the moment. This model's also got DisplayPort 2.1 connectivity, USB-C, HDMI 2.1. It's got an updated near proximity sensor, which now includes additional controls for sensitivity and your away time. So that's some improvements to their existing OLED Care feature set, which is really nice to see. So this one looks really great. I know a lot of people will be really excited to see RGB-stripe come into the 32-inch OLED market. We'll be bringing you loads more information from Computex 2026 later in the week when we've had a chance to visit Asus's main booth. They've got another 32-inch Tandem WOLED on display there, a new 5K LCD, some other new screens, their ProArt range. So loads more to cover later in the week beyond these two flagship models that we've talked about today. If you want to stay bang up to date on all of the latest Computex 2026 news, don't forget to check out our Computex 2026 tracker on our website, where you can keep track of everything going on in one place. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.